Ti amo, ti amo.
Is he really okay? Jungkook finally breaks silence about Taehyung's condition in Los Angeles. Promises to care for him until he recovers. Was it just exhaustion? Or is there something deeper the fans don't know yet? Why was Taehyung hidden from the cameras for days while BTS was preparing their most anticipated comeback? What exactly happened in Los Angeles? And why did Jungkook suddenly contact the other members with a voice full of concern and guilt? It all started with a silence louder than any scream. A silence that echoed louder than the beats of a stadium filled with armies. It began when Kim Taehyung was nowhere to be seen for nearly 5 days in a row during BTS's quiet but crucial preparation period for their next global comeback in Los Angeles. At first, it was brushed off by fans. Maybe he was just resting. Maybe he was staying low to avoid paparazzi. But then came the first whisper, the first tremor beneath the surface, when an army on Twitter noticed something strange. Jungkook was seen alone leaving the studio at 3 a.m. with a noticeably solemn face. No Taehyung, no smiles, no signature wave to the cameras. That night, something shifted in the fandom. And less than 24 hours later, the news finally broke, quietly, emotionally, and not through a public announcement, but through a private message relayed by Jungkook himself to the BTS members who had just returned from their military service. And it was not the news anyone was prepared to hear. Jungkook's voice cracked as he spoke through the group call. Hyung's, Tae's not doing well. He's been pushing himself so hard these last few days. He collapsed last night from exhaustion. I'll take care of him. I promise. Just don't worry. I've got him. That one message unraveled a wave of emotions within BTS and the fandom. What really happened to Taehyung? Why was he pushing himself so hard? And what led to this moment? The moment where the golden magne of BTS had to put his own exhaustion aside to care for his Hyung, his brother, his best friend, but more questions flooded in. Why wasn't HYB making a formal statement? What was being hidden? Was it truly just exhaustion? Or was Taehyung hiding something even from the members themselves? And why did Jungkook look like he hadn't slept in days? This is the untold emotional story of loyalty, brotherhood, and quiet suffering. This is what happened when Taehyung's body said, enough, in the heart of Los Angeles, as BTS's future comeback was being written behind closed doors. And this is the story of how Jungkook, already bearing the pressure of leading the early stages of the album production, chose to become Taehyung's silent guardian, and eventually, the voice who reassured the members. He's not alone. Behind the closed doors of LA, the hidden weight Taehyung carried. Los Angeles had always held a special place in BTS's journey, a city where dreams met global stages, where historic performances were born, and where some of the group's biggest milestones had unfolded. But this time, the city bore witness to something quieter, more fragile, and infinitely more human. The breakdown of someone known to the world for his calm, composed, and romantic persona. Sources close to HYB later revealed that BTS had sent Jungkook and Taehyung ahead to LA to begin the groundwork for the next album, a return that was both symbolic and strategic. The group, finally reuniting after years of military service and individual projects, was ready to make history once again. But beneath the excitement was a schedule packed tighter than ever before. Recording sessions that ran late into the night, concept meetings that dragged on for hours, constant travel between studios, photo shoots, and secret production sites. Taehyung, according to those who saw him in person, was visibly exhausted even before he boarded the flight to Los Angeles. Yet, as always, he smiled for the fans. He gave that familiar wave. He posted photos that said, "I'm okay," even when his body whispered otherwise. The pressure to be perfect, to carry the weight of anticipation from armies around the world, was something Taehyung never complained about. But this time, it caught up with him in a way no one could ignore. 3 days into the LA schedule, Jungkook reportedly began noticing changes. Taehyung, usually playful and full of quips between recordings, had grown quiet. He often excused himself early, skipped meals, and was seen sitting alone in the studio hallway, eyes closed, breathing deeply as if trying to calm something inside him that refused to stay silent. Jungkook, who had taken on a leadership role during this early stage of comeback production, quietly watched his Hyung unravel. But it wasn't until the night of July 18th that everything came crashing down. According to studio staff, Taehyung was scheduled for a late-night vocal session. He had requested to record alone, something not uncommon for the introspective idol. Jungkook waited nearby, reviewing demos for the title track. At 1:46 a.m., an assistant engineer went in to check on Taehyung and found him slumped on the studio couch, unresponsive but breathing. Panic erupted instantly. Medical attention was called, and Jungkook, the first to arrive at his side, reportedly held Taehyung's hand and whispered, "You're okay, Hyung. I'm here. Don't push anymore." That moment marked a shift not only in the studio, but in the hearts of the BTS members themselves. BY morning, Jungkook had made a decision. He contacted the other BTS members through a private group call and spoke the words no one expected. "I've never seen him like this," Jungkook said quietly. "He's always the strong one, but he's been hiding how tired he is. I should have seen it earlier. I'm staying here with him. He needs rest, not pressure. I'll look after him." What followed was silence. Then, the first reply came from Jimin. "Jungkook, take care of him. Please. Tell him I love him. Tell him we all do." Namjoon, ever the leader, replied next. "Postpone the sessions. Taehyung's health comes first. Always." And with those words, a decision was made, one that HYB later silently honored. Taehyung's schedule was wiped clean for the week. No public appearances. No studio commitments. No questions. Just recovery. Just healing. Jungkook moved Taehyung to a private rented house away from the main production building, a place where cameras wouldn't find them, where stress wouldn't creep in. He took it upon himself to prepare meals, to monitor his rest, and to check in on him every hour. The staff noted that Jungkook barely slept during those days, yet never once complained. What struck many who knew them both was the emotional reversal, the way the youngest, once the baby of the group, had become a quiet protector, the one who held everything together, even as worry gnawed at his own heart. But what about Taehyung? What was going through his mind during those days of silence? The answer came unexpectedly, in the form of a handwritten letter found folded inside his studio journal. Letter. A whisper from behind the mask hidden in the pages of a leather-bound journal Taehyung carried with him throughout BTS's LA schedule. There was a letter. It was not addressed to anyone in particular, yet every word dripped with intimacy and emotion, as though he had written it for the one who would find him in his most vulnerable moment. Perhaps Jungkook, perhaps himself, or perhaps all of us. Written in both Korean and English, the letter was discovered by a close staff member tasked with organizing the personal items Taehyung had left behind in the vocal booth the night he collapsed. It began simply, with a tremor that felt like breath on paper. "To whoever reads this, I don't know how long I can keep pretending I'm fine. Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe it's more than that. The lights are bright, the cameras are constant, and I smile. But inside, there's a voice that keeps asking, is it okay if I rest? Just for a little while. I've been waking up every morning feeling like my body is 10 steps behind my heart. My voice works, but my soul feels quiet. I know how much this album means, not just to us but to ARMY, and I want to give them everything. But what if right now, I have nothing left to give? I see Jungkook watching me. He's worried. He won't say it, but I can feel it in the way he brings me coffee, in the way he lingers by the door after practice. I want to tell him I'm okay. I want to lie. But the truth is, I need someone to catch me. And maybe this letter is me falling. No signature. No date. Just a final line at the bottom, scrawled almost like an afterthought. Tell the others I miss them. And I'm trying. Really, I am.